Hi, I'm Rob Zuber, CTO of CircleCI, and today I'm looking back on my predictions for 2020 and DevOps. 2020, probably the most unpredictable year that we've ever had. And then we're going to talk a little bit about predictions for 2021. So prediction number one, incremental advancements in DevOps will prove more successful than the all or nothing approach. I'm not a huge fan of it. Looking back, I'm a little embarrassed, honestly. This is such an evergreen prediction. I think if you asked me any year in the last 5, I would give you the same prediction, meaning it's always going to be more successful to take an incremental approach to almost any change in the way that you're building and delivering software than it will be to try and go all in or take an all or nothing approach. So I think while I probably thought this was true for 2020, I also thought it was true for 2019 and every year before that. So now I'm just going to take a quick look at the details of what I said. We'll see teams getting really practical about DevOps. Now, I think this may have been the key to where my head might have been at the end of last year, which is there have been a lot of big lofty goals over the last few years and some really big shifts in the market and people chasing things that maybe, if all we do is convert everything to containers, maybe if we just put some Kubernetes on this, our life will be great. And getting a little bit more practical and saying, okay, well, we see all these things that we could do, but what's the thing that's really going to matter for us right now? And kind of unwinding from all these big changes and trying to focus on one of those core elements. So I think that was probably a reasonable prediction going into this year. As I said, the most unpredictable year that's ever happened for all of us in a pretty long time. So I don't know how much of this truly came true. I think it was more of a continuous build. In fact, as I think back on it now, some things were so big and monumental in 2020 that I think we made some really big changes instead of some small incremental changes because things were changing so fast around us. Prediction number 2, developers will be more attuned to risk in their decision making. I think when I predicted this, what I really wanted was for it to become true, not that I truly believed that it was going to happen, because I think as software developers and software engineers, we tend to think a lot in absolutes rather than in being able to understand the risks of different approaches. But interestingly, it was a pretty unpredictable year. And so far in 2020, I think that people have had to make much more thoughtful decisions about what really matters to them as things have been shifting so quickly. It was difficult to understand where your market was going. It was difficult to understand where your business was going in 2020. And so being able to assess the risk of the decisions you made was certainly going to be, and certainly ended up being, the trait of those who managed to find some success in this particularly challenging year. So I'll give myself a solid score on that prediction, but not for any of the reasons I would have told you when I made that prediction. So let's talk about 2021. My first prediction is that global uncertainty will lead to ever-evolving shifts in software development. Now, I keep saying that 2020 was very unpredictable, and I think a lot of us want to think that 2021 will be a return to normal, but the reality of the situation is it won't. It won't be necessarily a return to where we were before. It will be a different kind of normal. We've all learned some things that we're going to take with us. We've learned how to be much more responsive, how to adapt to a rapidly changing situation, and to a lot of uncertainty. And that will be something that we want to continue to bring with us and not become complacent and fall back into old ideas about how software should be delivered. We know that it's very difficult to predict the future, and now that we've had a real core concrete example of that for all of us, I think we should carry that forward and use at least the tools that we've developed and the skills that we've learned to our best advantage. 2021 will be the year of rapid innovation. Unpredictable market trends mixed with a high level of agitation means that there will be problems to solve and energy needed to solve it. Stripping that back a little bit from the carefully chosen words, what this means to me is things are continuing to evolve rapidly, and a lot of us have ended up in very different situations than we were in coming into 2020. Maybe we've lost jobs, maybe we've experienced new things where we recognize a need, and we have a lot of newfound passion, honestly. So I think people will be either by choice or by necessity taking on passion projects with a newfound set of skills, a newfound desire, some energy, And the result is that we're just going to see a lot of interesting innovation, and this may just be the leading year of it. But it's going to be a time when we see a lot of new thinking coming about. And if you're someone in that situation, what I would say to you is it's going to be happening all around you. You want to move fast, get your stuff out there, get it in front of people, get some feedback, move quickly. There's going to be a lot of people moving quickly. I think there's a lot of great, again, energy that we can capture on, an opportunity that we can take advantage of. But let's make the most of it and push ourselves hard. And last but not least, laser-focused leaders will prevail. I think this is a really interesting, doesn't even come close to doing it justice, but a fascinating time for all of us. And some of today's great companies were born out of yesterday's uncertain times. And so it's always, to me, a time that's really ripe with opportunity. And we've seen a lot of that over the last year. Again, just new learnings about what opportunities are out there, what possibilities, what challenges there are to be solved. But it's also easy to get distracted. And so in some senses, I think of this as sort of an evergreen prediction, because it's always the laser-focused leaders that manage to steer the ship effectively. But in challenging times, it's ever more present and ever more important to be focused and to stay targeted on the goal. And with this, just so many new interesting revelations, I guess, that we've all had about where opportunities are for us to all be better. People who pick those, put all of their energy into them, and drive quickly are going to see some real great opportunity advance in front of them.